Howdy mates, good afternoon. Here's the third video today. I'm out at the Cedar Bog Nature Preserve near Urbana, Ohio. I decided, why not? After visiting Glen Helen, and this is technically the first time I've had a chance to see the place without any snow. But what I just passed just a moment ago is your famous northern white cedar. And normally you'd see more of these trees up towards Canada or northeastern United States. They tend to like more of the cooler temperatures. But Cedar Bog is the only preserve in which you can find northern white cedar at a sedge meadow. And you may be thinking, what exactly is a sedge meadow? Well, think of it as this. It's basically a prairie that's made up of sedges, which have edges. Yeah, like here is an example. So like you notice this particular sedge right here, it doesn't really have like a round shape to it. It kind of has more of a triangular shape. And that's a good way that you can tell if you're looking at sedges. And there are at least thousands of different types of them. But usually what happens here at a sedge meadow in terms of management, every now and then they'll cut out any woody vegetation, because what happens is with the sedges, since they can establish very deep roots, it can allow the muck, more or less, to gather up. And it will begin the foundation of creating soil. So that's the reason how some of these northern white cedar are basically growing. But the thing is, if the management wasn't taking place, the leaves falling from the trees and their roots would contribute to more soil, and then there'd be too much shade. And practically all of these sedges and other various rare and endangered plants that rely on sedge meadows would not be able to survive anymore, because they require a high amount of sunlight. Yeah, here you go. It tells you a bit more about the actual sedge meadow itself and some of the plants that you can find. Yeah, typically like early summer or even late spring. And it's usually when you'll see a lot of the different types of flowers out here. Can you hear that in the background? Yeah. Those are the famous chorus frogs. It is that time of the year where they will be out more often. But essentially, I have mentioned this in the past, Cedar Bog is technically a fen, which there is a difference between a bog and a fen. With a fen, the water is usually a bit more clear, whereas and it's alkaline too, so a higher pH. Whereas a bog, on the other hand, usually is darker water, and it's a bit more acidic too. So actually, let me establish this. Yeah, see the water in here? It looks relatively clear, wouldn't you have to agree? But essentially what happens is, any of the magnesium bicarbonate that's in the soil, it will make its way up to the surface via the fen in the springs here, and it will form a precipitate of calcium carbonate, which in other words makes up your limestone. But here it establishes more difference between how you can tell if you're looking at a bog or a fen. Yeah, like here you go. Small streamlets drain the water. So there are little streams that you can see. And obviously with a fen, you'll see more sedges. But the water, even though it doesn't look like it's moving, it is actually moving, as a matter of fact. Just very slowly. Wow. This is a beautiful day. You hear those birds in the background? That is your common grackle. I know you can't really see one, but I just recognize their call. Yeah, for those of you who have not been here, definitely do so, because this is practically one of the only sedge meadows left in the state of Ohio. And to think, US Route 68 that runs nearby here, it was originally going to be constructed on this patch of land, but activists and stewards made sure that that did not happen. But yeah, there you go. But that's why we should really care about these types of environments, because some of the only plants are only endemic to this area, or in other words, native. And usually that's how most preserves are sought out, is by seeing how rare some of the flora is. And usually, as a matter of fact, usually more endangered or rare plants will actually have a smaller extinction debt. So that means, you know, they have some time to be able to recover, but since they're so endangered and rare, they could easily become extinct. Yeah. It just tells you about the muck and the marl. And just below that is your actual gravel. Yeah, so you can even see poison sumac here. Yeah, truly a beautiful day to be out. Alrighty. Thought I would share that with you guys. Hope you learned something in the video. Yeah, I mean, we should really care about these habitats, because there's so much going on here. Like, we have swamp, hardwood forest, sedge meadow. I mean, there's just a lot of diversity taking place. And this is practically one of the only types left in Ohio. And the water is practically pure. It's clean. And I'm sure it's still contaminated in a sense, but it's still pure groundwater. So alrighty, hope all of you enjoy your Sunday, and Journey on a Journey is outwards. Take care, folks.